Good morning. I'm just going to follow on from my last video. Do you allow yourself to be a beginner? And I just want to point out that I'm recording this on my phone. There is no editing whatsoever. The quality is probably going to be really shit, but I'm being okay with that. I'm just getting the content out there. The videos are not edited. And there's gonna be issues with them, I'm sure, but this is real. Yeah, so you'll have to forgive me if the volume or lighting or something isn't right. I'm too close to the camera, or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I want to follow on from my last video of do you allow yourself to be a beginner? I was identifying some really big emotions that were coming up for me, which when someone's showing me something new, or even just offering gentle guidance on a different way of doing something, I get really intense feelings come up to the point of me feeling like I'm going to burst into tears sometimes, a lot of defensiveness, feelings of I can't, flush, almost feeling shame. When I say almost, yeah, that feeling shame in not knowing how to do something right away. I realise that I expect perfection from myself. I don't allow myself to go through a learning process, that I don't, anything that I'm not automatically somewhat half good at, and I can see that the learning process will be really quick, I discard and I don't attempt to do it. And so I was identifying that the feelings of helplessness and shame that comes up, impatience and anger with myself and not knowing how to do something. And I recalled like where that came from. I remember as a child, there wasn't any room for making mistakes. It was often, a mistake could often be met with explosive rage, or disappointment, being told I wasn't good enough, or why would you do that, as I was already expected to know. I left the last video in I've identified the problem. I don't know how to heal through that, and I do see a psychologist who is amazing, and I've just had my session with her this morning, so I thought I'd share what we unraveled, what we uncovered, and she helped me realize that that I was essentially denied as a child the joy of a learning experience, the process of interactive learning, I didn't get to experience that. I was expected to know everything. I was expected to read my parents' minds, to anticipate what they wanted me to know, and already to know that. Again, whenever I identify something that's related to a childhood trauma, it's never with any blame or resentments towards my parents, as it's literally just a dynamic. The reason why they enacted those scenarios when I was a child and helped shape my childhood experiences was because they themselves would have experienced the same thing from their parents. It's just a repeated pattern, a repeated dynamic, and there is no blame or no fault laid at anything. So and I love the fact that I'm able to be really open with my parents, and I hope that they don't feel any blame or guilt or anything associated with that. But it's really important to recognise that this is my shit, and while that scenario helped bring about these emotions, this is my healing journey, and it's nobody's fault. It's literally a dynamic. But anyway, and so I'm just reading my notes that I took during my session. And yeah, so there wasn't any room for mistakes. And so I asked my psychologist, I was like, so I've identified it, how do I heal through that? And I gave her some examples of when these emotions come up. Like my partner's teaching me how to play the guitar, and also helping me in the planning process of the prospect of building a tiny home to live in. I'm very, very much a beginner at playing guitar, and while I claim to know this and I claim to know that, when it comes to building, I really have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And so I feel totally out of my depth, totally out of my comfort zone, totally overwhelmed, because I'm going to rely on a lot of people for guidance, and that's really scary because I'm not able to do it on my own. I'm having to be in that learning process, and even just like learning the guitar, if someone, if my partner offers me a simple guidance or picks up on something that I've done wrong, like it's really triggering for me. It's like I go back into that little girl mode of fear, and shame, and anger at myself for not already knowing it, for not already being perfect. And so I asked her, like, how do I how do I navigate through this? How do I heal? And the last time I came to her with an issue, it was like a very clear, this is how you do it. But what she pointed out was that I'm already doing it. I'm putting myself in a learner's position, and I'm learning something new, and I'm watching the feelings as they come up. I'm not being reactive. I don't blame my boyfriend at all for the scenarios that are triggering me. It's just it's the scenario that's triggering me. And sometimes I just have to put the guitar down when I feel that, and just watch him play, listen to him play for a little while before I feel confident in picking it back up again. But I'm still doing it. I'm still learning. I'm still practicing, and I'm still going to tackle this tiny home, even though it's really scary. And so the act of putting myself in these positions where I am having to say, I don't know, I don't have the answers, I don't know what I'm doing, that in itself is practicing being in a safe space. I'm also saying mantras to myself, because the feelings that would have instilled as a child was, I have to know everything, I'm not good enough, it's not okay to make mistakes. And so I'm basically just saying the opposite to myself. I am good enough, I'm safe. That's one thing that I have been doing mentally in those moments, even just playing the guitar when I'm feeling triggered, is just saying to myself, I'm safe, no one's yelling at me, no one's expecting me to get everything perfect. And yeah, I'm doing it. I'm forcing myself into these situations where I feel totally uncomfortable, but I'm still doing it. And my psychologist also helped me realize, because we talked about how I am with my children, and there certainly are times when I lose my temper and I go back into that mode of expecting them to know something before they've learnt, and I do have to remind myself constantly, like, they're little, they're learning, it's okay, but just like if they come to me with a question that I don't know, I will say I don't know, maybe we can look that up together if I have time, but also the thing that was highlighted is a lot of the old styles of parenting were not very engaging with their children. I suppose there wasn't a lot of time spent in teaching unless there was like a master craftsman sort of thing, and so expecting a child to know everything already is almost in a way highlighting the parents' lack of knowledge in that area, and that could be very, very triggering for them, and so that's then projected onto the child. Oh, you should know this, because the parents themselves don't know, and that's being highlighted with the question to begin with, or demonstrating that the child doesn't know is highlighting that the parent hasn't shown them, subconsciously, and again could be triggering. So it's just putting myself in situations where I am a beginner, where I am learning, and I'm slowly learning to be okay with that. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but the scenarios where it is uncomfortable is getting less and less, and I'm getting less and less angry with myself. And but yeah, even though it is still coming up, just to persevere with it. And yeah, like I am learning fairly quickly. Like I'm actually quite proud of myself. Just with the guitar, I was starting with 3 chords, and then from the chord changes, learning how to get those quickly with the guitar, I then started doing finger picking as well, which was like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. And then I had to try and sing over the top of that, which was when I first started doing it, it felt almost impossible, because I then had to ignore what I was doing with my hands and focus on what I was singing. And so then I've just been practicing, and I'm able to sing now and finger pick and change chords all at the same time on this one particular piece that I'm learning. And so it's a slow process, and I keep reminding myself and doing the mantras, like it's okay to go through the learning process. It's okay to be a beginner. I don't have to know everything. It's okay to be shown. It's okay to make mistakes. And I've not done this yet, but even putting yourself in myself, always speak about ourselves, situations where you know you're going to make a mistake, and deliberately go out and make mistakes. And so I think this is one of those lessons where it has to be lived, putting myself in those uncomfortable situations and persevering with it, knowing that I'm going to be uncomfortable, and just acknowledging the vulnerability aspects, that it is scary and it is hard, but I'm doing it anyway. So thank you. I just thought I would share that little piece of wisdom that I helped uncover with the help of my psychologist. And also one of the healing modalities that I think I've mentioned before, but she reminded me of, is looking at the feelings that come up. That's the little girl or little boy, if you're a man, that needs to be looked after, that wasn't looked after. So go back to those scenarios as a child, and not changing the situation, but really thinking about what needed to be said, what needed to be done to leave that situation feeling whole. What would I have liked to have heard? How would I'd like to have been taught in order for me to be okay with the learning process, and saying those things to myself. And that's what I've started doing, and practicing patience with myself. So thank you.